A landmark decision on Monday by the U.S. Supreme Court ruled LGBTQ Americans cannot be fired or discriminated against simply because of their sexual orientation or gender identity. Dr. James Dobson, president of the James Dobson Family Institute, believes the justice's decision is an attempt to redefine nature, making it an offense against God. Dobson said in a statement, quote, "The U.S. Supreme Court has redefined the meaning of sex under the Title VII of the Civil Rights Act to include gender identity and sexual orientation. Not only was this decision an affront against God, but it was also a historical attack against the founding framework that governs our nation." Joining us now is James Gottry, the Vice President of Public Policy for the James Dobson Family Institute. Mr. Gottry, thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, what is it about this ruling that makes it unconstitutional?
Well, basically, the Supreme Court failed to carry out its duty. We have three branches of government. The legislative branch makes law, the judicial branch interprets the law, and the executive branch enforces the law. But that's not what happened in this decision. The Supreme Court took it upon itself to make law when it changed the definition of sex in Title VII to include sexual orientation and gender identity.
Yeah, it's just hard to get my head around how this happened. But on a larger scale, how does this directly impact, or does it directly impact, religious freedom?
And right there is part of the problem. We don't know. Justice Alito said in his dissent, he said, this is a radical decision, and the court should at least have given some thought to where its decision might lead. And that's a big question. We don't know how it's going to affect opposite sex locker rooms, changing rooms, bathrooms, showers. We don't know how it's going to affect opposite sex dorm rooms at universities. We don't know what obligations it's going to put on employers and how it's going to affect faith-based employers and other people of faith.
Wow.
There's a lot of question marks there.
Absolutely. Well, can anything be done, in your opinion, to push back against this ruling? And do you think there will be lawsuits?
There will definitely be lawsuits about this ruling as we try and flesh out what this means, and are other definitions of sex going to be changed. So that's going to be one question. I think we need to continue to put pressure on our elected representatives, the legislature, to do their job so that the court doesn't step in and take that upon itself.
Dr. Dobson also said in his statement that this ruling is an example of our country being in a spiritual battle. Or war. How can Christians be praying right now? And what can they do? What can we do to make a difference?
Right. Well, as Dr. Dobson said, this is a spiritual battle. And when you look at this ruling and you look at how easy this ruling should have been for the court, because when Title VII came into law, this is back in the 1940s, everyone understood what sex meant. Everyone understood that this was talking about discrimination based on being male or female. And so the fact that now, 40-some years later, the court is saying that sex meant sexual orientation and gender identity, that includes those terms, that's beyond rational. And so that is something that we need to pray, is just that God would continue to open our eyes to the truth, because we need it desperately.
We absolutely do. Well, James, thank you so much for sharing your insights today with us. We appreciate it. God bless.
Thank you.
And for more political coverage, you can tune into Faith Nation this evening, and you can watch it right here on the CBN News Channel.